Hi guys, I'm Ryan Newsman and welcome to my fly tying channel. If you haven't already done so, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. That'll keep you up to date with everything as I upload it. My channel already contains hundreds of videos covering a wide range of both patterns and techniques, from the basic to the more advanced. So without delay, let's get on with the show. Hi guys. So previously you've seen me tie the purple nasty in the small size. So I'm going to tie it in now what I'd call a medium size, and there's just a couple of things I do a little bit differently when I do this. So we have a section of 1.8mm black liner tubing here, and this is approximately 20mm long, and I've used my lighter and I've flamed the back of it to create a flange. So now I take a section of outer tubing. Now this is clear, but you can use black or you can use purple, whatever suits yourself for it. And I'm going to push that over it. Now previously I pushed that up until there was about 2mm. This time I'm going to sort of go about halfway with it, because we're tying that slightly larger sized fly. And still we're going to use a strong tying thread and compress that outer tubing down onto the inner tube, so therefore it won't slip. Right, as before, we're going to use the purple Arctic Runner, although we're going for a slightly longer bit of hair and a little bit more of it. Obviously we're scaling this fly up. Let's take our bunch, trim that, and get a bit of super glue just onto the end of it and tie that on. So as before, we're going to use a strand of Mirage Peacock crinkle, fold it back on itself so that we have two, and trim that off at about 3/4 the length of the tail. Same as before again, we're using the mixture of gold and gold holographic Angelina type mix, but a bit more of it this time, because this time this is actually going to be more prominent. You're going to see it more. And we'll take that to the end of our tubing section, and then we dive off the end with our tying thread. Just going to put a little bit of glue there, and then if we take again one of our magenta dyed badger hackles and tie that on, flip it back, and wind that. Again, it doesn't matter how particularly neat you are at winding on the hackle, because the cone is going to push this back. So tie that off, get our purple cone, super glue, and create a blob of super glue there to push that back into. So trim that off. This time, as you can see, the back section is more prominent. So this was the previous fly that we tied. So as we can see, we're already bigger than that in total. And we're going to then change over to the black Flymaster Danvils again for the front part. But what's slightly different about this is that I'm going to add a little bit of a wing on this one, because I think it just gives it a better balance and shape once we get this a little bit longer. So as before, we're going to put in a couple of small jungle cock here. I'll take one from each side of my cape. Match up the tips of them. Set them flat on top. A loose lap just to get them started. And tie backwards. So we'll put in our wing. Because I'm trying to keep this as tight as possible, what I'm going to use for the wing is a little bit of rabbit fur. So this is a zonker strip in a purple. So I'm going to take just a little bunch of that and trim it off. Now rabbit fur is really soft, so it compresses well and doesn't make much milk. So I'm just going to offer it up just to the back of the cone. Turn over or two over it just to hold it in position, and then I'm going to super glue up about 2 centimeters of the thread, push that onto that, and then fold that back and just stick my nail into the base of it there, and that should just hold it in position. So same as before, same hackle, one of these dark blue, purple soft hackles. Trim off the base, select out the tip, nip it out, and then just tie it in by the very tip of what stalk's left. And wrap that on. So it's worth also saying that what I sometimes will also do is, instead of the purple bead here, is to go with a gold bead. Now that happens to be very, very fine, so we broke it, so we'll just add it again. So we'll swap sometimes to the gold bead, and that just gives a little bit more flash. Perhaps if the water is just a little bit dirtier. I tend to chop and change my flies during the day quite a bit, as you tend to be, as I fish spate rivers generally, the water conditions tend to be changing, and it pays to not leave your fly constant all day. So you could be changing it in size, changing slight little bits in the shape or the colour. So we'll just flip all back there, and if you wanted you could finish your fly at that, just use thread. You could use red thread or purple thread or whatever and just create a nice little accent on the head, but I'm going to use the same gold cone. So this is a hybrid type cone. So we'll then take our super glue, run it on a couple of inches or so of our thread. You can see that creates all those little globlets, and then we wrap that. We're not trying to go forward at any point with it. Get our hybrid cone and push it tight back into that. And then turn that off. As you notice, I didn't whip finish that, so there's no need when you're wrapping into super glue. We cut that off at about 1.5 2 mil maybe, and then flame it. Now I always like to flame vertically if at all possible. Your lighter should be held horizontal, your fly vertical. The nature of the flame is that it'll go upwards, and then you can control more how you touch it down onto the fly. So that is our purple nasty in a medium size, and as you can see, just slightly different to our small. So that's the two flies, size for size. The small one, I don't think it's as important to put a wing into it, but the bigger one, I think it just balances it that little bit better if you use that sort of soft wing just to bulk it up that little bit. So hopefully you like what you see. If you do, like, subscribe, tell your friends, check out all the other videos that I have on the channel. Should be something for everybody there. And until next time, tight lines. And thanks for watching.